Hi, this is Mick with We Holly Bushcraft. Just out on this beautiful day in November, shooting some video, tying some knots, eating some lunch, walking the trails, scaring up a whole bunch of chipmunks. So stay with me, and I hope you enjoy this. One of the things I want to do today is talk to you about knots and pioneering skills. And so I'm going to demonstrate some knots here and there, talk to you a little bit about them, and maybe that will sort of get the juices flowing for maybe doing some of this outdoors woodcraft type stuff. So let me get set up and I'll be right back to you. One of the knots that I want to show you is a very simple knot. If you're a Boy Scout, or if you know a Boy Scout, you know all about this knot, because this knot is the signature knot of Boy Scouts of America. Why they made this knot the signature knot, I'm not sure. There are lots of knots that are very, very important, and this is one of them. The nice thing about this knot that I'm going to show you, which is the square knot, is it's very easy to untie once you get it tied. That's the hallmark of one of the good knots that I'll be teaching and that you'll want to learn. They're easy to untie even after they've had weight put on them. So here's my little piece of rope. I'm going to get closer. Got two ends of rope here. Now I'm going to say it backwards so that it matches what you do, what you're seeing on the screen. I'm going to do right over left and then left over right. And then you can tell here when you have a square knot instead of a granny knot, because it makes these two loops. Now let me show you a granny knot, at least that's what we call it here, where you go right over left and then you go right over left again. And notice the difference. This is not a square knot. Let's do it one more time, real fast. Left over right. Oops, I said it wrong. Right over left. All right, let's try it one more time, this time with feeling. Right over left. Left over right. And if you can do that with your knot, then you know you've got a square knot. And that's the big signature knot of the Boy Scouts of America. So now you know something. Okay, the next knot I want to show you is called a sheet bend. And the sheet bend is good for joining two pieces of rope together that may be different sizes. A lot of these knots are started out as nautical knots for sailors to use. So the sheet bend is a real easy one, and there's some pitfalls in the sheet bend that even though I've been tying knots for a few years, I'm not an expert at all the knots. I really didn't know you could tie a sheet bend the wrong way. I'm going to show you the right way, and I'm going to show you the wrong way. Sheet bend, here it comes. Okay, first of all we're going to start with a loop. Just a loop, no big deal. And then we have our other piece of rope. Notice I got two ropes, two different diameters here on purpose so that they'll show a little better. I'm going to run one end through my loop, down, back toward you, away from me, and through the loop itself again. And I'm going to pull it and pull it and pull it, and here's what we have. The correct way, you can tell you've tied the sheet bend correctly when both ends of the rope, of the two ropes, come out of the same direction on the knot. Okay, so this one's popping up and this one's popping up. So that is the correct way to tie the sheet bend. Now the sheet bend is kind of weird because as long as it's under tension, it's a good stable knot. But when the tension relaxes, see how it wants to kind of come loose? So you got to watch out with the sheet bend. If you take tension off of it, it may actually untie itself. Now, the wrong way to tie the sheet bend, which I didn't know about until recently, is coming next. Here's your loop, just like we had before. Here's your rope, your other rope coming up through. If you tie it this way, you pull it, pull it, pull it. Notice now I've got this rope coming up and this rope coming down. They call that a left-handed sheet bend, and it is supposed to be less stable than the other way that I showed you. So watch out. If you've got your ropes coming out two different ends, one going up and one going down, that's the wrong way, and it is a less secure knot. I didn't know that. In fact, I started out tying my sheet bends just like this. And if you're left-handed, I'm sorry if that offends you in some way. My son is left-handed and my mother's left-handed, so I don't mean to be offensive to anyone. But that is called the left-handed sheet bend. Watch out for it. It is unstable. This next knot is called a clove hitch. And if I had my way, and I'm big into the Boy Scout traditions, if I had my way, the clove hitch would be the signature Boy Scout knot instead of the square knot. Because the clove hitch, to me, is very useful. It's used in almost every lashing that you can think of. So if you're going to build a tripod for cooking, if you're going to build some sort of a shelter, sometimes that requires lashings, the clove hitch is going to be a central knot for you. So the clove hitch, I was taught a while back how to tie it firefighter style, because a lot of times the clove hitch is used in firefighting to put rope over something. So if there's a post sticking up and you need to put rope over it, you don't have to tie the clove hitch around it. What you can do is you're holding the rope, you would come in underneath, so you got your fingers, your hands pointing in two different directions, but the fingers are pointing in the same way, and then twist. And that loop is your clove hitch, and you can put it over something and pull it tight, and you've got a good knot. So how do we tie it around an object? Here's how. I'm going to try to do it right the first time. We're going to loop. See, I've just formed an X right here. And loop again. And the rope comes under the X. And then kind of dress it a little bit. And there's your clove hitch. The squirrels are chirping at me, and I'm trying to see if I've annoyed them, or if they're chirping at a snake or something. It's about 60 degrees today, and the snakes may be out trying to warm up a little bit. It's been very cool at night. So I digress. I'm sorry. That's the clove hitch. Now let's try the clove hitch on this tree branch one more time and see how it does. I've made my X. I'm going to come around under my X and pull. And dress it down a little bit. And there's your clove hitch. It's very easy. Just make the X and the rope runs underneath the X. Clove hitch. Crows are upset. I don't know what that means. We'll watch out. Another thing I brought with me as part of my trail food is a Ziploc bag full of roasted pumpkin seeds. I posted about this recently, that this is great survival food, and it has a long history. The Native Americans used pumpkins, South Americans, Central Americans used pumpkins and pumpkin seeds as a food source. And so Halloween is over, but when we gutted the pumpkins to make jack-o'-lanterns, my delightful wife roasted up some seeds for me, and they're very good.